Welcome to the 2021 Visual Studies Thesis Exhibition. This exhibition is presented in 360 degrees, so please be aware that there may be artwork behind you.
This series of photographs was created to explore the relationship between masculinity and fashion in the post-AIDS generation. Typically, masculine representations in fashion imagery do not depict normative masculinity. They depict the ideal. Most men do not embody or enact these forms of masculinity, although they may aspire to do so. For this project, I worked closely with 8 college-aged models in order to understand the styles of masculine fashion they most admired. I used their chosen styles to style, direct, and photograph each model. By doing so, I hoped to create an environment where the models felt comfortable enough to enact a masculinity they would not normally enact. In some instances, the models revealed their alter egos, whereas some models were less keen on challenging and exploring their masculinity in front of the camera.
I propose an installation to facilitate observance of intersections between sculpture and architecture in real time. The proposal is outlined digitally, shown interactively in virtual reality, as well as angular views of the 3D rendered model in plan, elevation, and axonometric views. The exhibition is set in the desert for its symbolic nature and muted canvas for observance. The Pinnacles Desert of Australia, where the installation particularly takes place, is constituted of sand plains broken up by natural rock formations from the ground. This dynamic landscape emphasizes certain aspects of the spaces in the built environment, casting light and shadow on certain elements of the installed structures. The context of the desert presents an environment that is barren and harsh and therefore emphasizes a need for shelter. I see the desert as emblematic to address the disparities of habitability and inhabitability, wherein architecture and sculpture are respectively associated. The desert brings extra attention to whether a space can be entered. In this way, each structure in the exhibition is a monument. Some of the monuments are inhabitable and reflect light back onto the desert landscape. Other monuments are habitable and, when explored in the context of the desert, hold a new level of value as shelter.
Erasure of Asian bodies in Western media is a common occurrence, even as our clothing, cultures, and aesthetics are used to entertain these audiences. Erasure of Asians in the West is a learned and reinforced idea. Erasure of Asians in the West stems from anti-Asian racism. Erasure of Asians in the West is a continuation of perpetual foreigner rhetoric. Erasure of Asian in Western media is deliberate. We see ourselves in your butchered pronunciations, that semi-hidden sign in the background, the robe you dare call a kimono, the fun fact you use to prove that you are cultured. We see ourselves in the media you imported from our ancestral countries, like the exotic goods your ancestors probably displayed for clout. We see how you put your white faces all over our ideas, our stolen ideas. We see ourselves. We see you. Do you see yourself?
This work was created to transport viewers into a ritual space. Rhythmic drum beats, glowing light fixtures, and ghostly participants fill the environment. peering in, you may feel as though you are observing something you weren't meant to see, but the space is nevertheless enticing. Inspired by the separation from one another we have experienced as a result of the COVID-19 crisis, this work is designed to simulate the feelings that emerge in the collective setting of the rave in a space emptied of other bodies. Before lockdowns and social distancing guidelines reshaped our social world, spaces of collective ritual offered us time apart from the mundane, a temporary zone of sacred togetherness that gave us distance from our ordinary selves. Here you are welcome to experience this alternative realm on your own. The cloak of darkness will conceal your identity. It has no use for you here. Be mindful of your step.
This is a story of a young man coming to fully accept himself and everything that he is, his sexuality, his race, everything he is.
I can't live the life I wanna live, and I can't live the lie I'm supposed to live. So what the hell am I supposed to do? If I can't live the life I wanna live, and I can't live the lie I'm supposed to live, what the hell am I supposed to do? I know my parents think I'm weak. My friends don't like the thoughts I think. Tell me what's the point of living when my whole life has been the sum of someone else's dreams, their fears and insecurities. And after all of these wasted years, are you still displeased? Whoa, my, what the hell am I supposed to do?
This multi-channel video installation features videos of moving points projected onto iron fences. The points track the movement of the subject's joints from found footage of candid moments of fear and anxiety. Many of the moments come from events that took place within the past year, like Black Lives Matter protests, the Capitol riot, and anti-Asian violence, to name a few. These events sparked fear in not just me, they affected the whole nation. By collecting this array of clips and presenting them in the form of simple points of light, I want to highlight the anxiety conveyed through only the body expression. Through this installation, I hope to create a space for meditation on the anxiety and fear that the subjects express, what situation they may have occurred in, and how the anxiety of the subject might impact your own emotional state.
My name is Maya Johnston, and this is my doorway to Columbia. It was created as one of 4 visual components, one in photography, videography, augmented reality, and virtual reality. It's an augmented reality, typically styled Columbian doorway leading into Columbia that can be placed using a phone anywhere in the world. This is meant to be used for the company Fashion Kind as a marketing tool to allow consumers to enter the storyline of the products created in Columbia.
Welcome. You are entering a space that is tailored to your environment. It is a reality created for you, by you, and others. Please step forward. This is your reality, or at least, this is what your visual nerves are telling you. It's a simulation. Please stand by while we take your picture. I would ask for your permission, but you have given it to me by entering these virtual spaces. Don't be afraid. Now, please look up. Your bubble is descending. Let us bring you to your visual feed. Oh, I've just been told that you need a different feed. I am adapting and changing your feed so you can be exposed to one of your fellow humans' experience. Don't be afraid. It's just another real reality.
When you join a video conference from the only clean part of your home, do you consider that pristine appearing background to be real or a deliberate cover-up of your life's inherent complexities? This tension that exists between what we, modern-day humans, present to the world as our background versus what our backgrounds actually are is what my visual component aims to address. Thus, my piece consists of two 4-foot-wide folding fans posed as personal backdrops capable of literally covering up any activity that might be happening behind them. One fan was covered in white ostrich plumes, while the other was covered in multicolored strands of embroidery thread. I decorated them with textural and unlikely appearing materials in order to give them an air of unrealness. Thus, my goal for this piece is to make the viewer look at the backdrops and confront the immediate question: are they, the backdrops, physically and or conceptually real or unreal? I hope that my viewers will use this experience of deliberately confronting the realness of a background as a reminder to always be aware of the subconscious meanings that they might be attributing to backgrounds and, more importantly, to the humans seated in front of them.
Curating Experience explores the relationship between a work of art and the space it inhabits. I examine how modifying the surrounding environment can alter the impact and effect a piece has on its audience. I focus on 3 works of art which are at the moment all displayed in traditional gallery spaces: the Herringbird altarpiece by Gerd Rotjeb, a theatrical mask from the 2nd century AD, and Untitled in honor of Harold Joachim III by Dan Flavin. I pose the question of how spaces for the display of art can be more immersive by adjusting variables such as lighting, surface reflectivity, scale, and interactivity. The results of my trials and analyses can be seen in the image sequences for each of the 3 pieces. While there's a question of the value and practicality of creating such immersive and specific spaces for singular works of art, I think there is value in considering the possibilities these changes towards immersion can produce.
This project takes a critical view of valuation, appropriation, and the way in which individuals interact with art online, specifically and currently through non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. This conceptual piece utilizes the blockchain network in order to buy, sell, trade, or simply view the work. The NFTs created within this project are taken from and inspired by artists who work in appropriation, and are then placed on OpenSea and sold as NFTs. By taking works that specifically deal with appropriation, this project assigns new meaning to familiar art historical images. The practice of appropriation can be traced back to Cubist collages from the early 20th century, which utilized real objects like newspapers or instruments and represented themselves within the collage. Appropriation was then furthered by artist Marcel Duchamp in 1915 when he created Fountain,
a ready-made in which he simply turned a urinal on its side, signed it, and displayed it on a pedestal. The term has been more recently associated with American artists of the late 1980s, like Sherry Levine, Barbara Kruger, Louise Lawler, and more. Their art reworks pre-existing images and artwork in order to question originality, authorship, voice, and the very definition of art itself. Many of these artists were influenced by Walter Benjamin's writing, Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, which addresses and questions the value of copies. In my project, inspired by Marcel Duchamp's fountain, the images I appropriate are placed on a pedestal, elevating them and assigning them their own unique aura different from the original. The NFTs in this series will feature works by Marcel Duchamp, Deborah Cass, Sister Mary Carita Kent, Barbara Kruger, Louise Lawler, Sherry Levine, Richard Pettibone, and Richard Prince. All artists whose work stems from pre-existing pieces and critiques authenticity. By utilizing iconic moments in art history that engage with appropriation, this project aims to urge the viewer to consider ownership and the ways in which we assign value to art. The NFTs will serve as an homage to artists who push the boundaries of authorship, commoditization, and equitability while simultaneously engaging with dematerialization in an effort to relate this practice to the precipice of the fundamental shift we are experiencing in the art world today.
Everything you know about beauty is wrong. This news might be alarming, but worry not. I have created and abridged a tutorial to teach you the right way to have a comfortable and healthy relationship with beauty. Naturally, this may involve destroying the concept of beauty entirely. I hope you have adjusted to the move to the internal. Please there are undefined number of ways to have a comfortable relationship with beauty in the future. How to have a comfortable relationship with beauty. The tutorial video. Lesson 1. There are 3 ways to have a comfortable relationship with beauty. 1. To be always beautiful according to the dominant standard. 2. To be not always beautiful, but to not care about being not always beautiful. 3. To not care about beauty. Avoid being beautiful and realizing constant and eternal. It is easy to have bountiful time, energy, money, and resources to continue to be. Just kidding. We can believe that statement. Please take the lesson 1.2. Beauty that is tasted is not constant. Beauty that is not constant can cause insecurity and discomfort. Lesson 1.2. There are 2 ways to be not always beautiful, but to not care about being not always beautiful. 1. To never come into contact with ideas of beauty in the world around us, that can harm you, whether on a personal level or sentimentally. This means not thinking about with this method, real beauty can be able to raise your own self-time standard of beauty. 2. To have complete apathy of what people think of you and any consequences you may have. Do not aspire to beauty. Do not derive pleasure or manufacture confidence or construct entirely from moving to your limit. Makeup, skincare, and sex are mentally traps. Engaging is caring about how beautiful you are. Lesson 1.3. There are 8 ways to not think about beauty. 1. To never open your eyes. 2. To not have a face. 3. To have a face that is full abstraction. 4. To return to the moment of your birth and then not be able to die. 5. To have no memory system, so you forget everything you physically or exposed to be and thought about you. 7. To be perfectly unable to make valid judgments, so that you can genuinely believe everyone is capable of it. 8. To make health irrelevant to reproduction, so that by implementing medical and reproductive technologies at your choice is separate from you, universally accessible, and extremely affordable. After many generations of patients with this condition, high quality situation, see the ideals of radiation, nutrition, and evolutionary, inconsequential. Lesson 0. There are 2 ways to have comfortable relationships. 1. To be unsure and at peace with such instances. It may be necessary to take steps to resolve this if the thing has to use systemic sources of comfort. 2. To destroy self-hate. Shatter justice built around it. Then to have this so that it is rendered relevant and there is nothing more judged to have a comfortable or uncomfortable relationship. Lesson 0.2. There are no realistic ways to have a comfortable relationship with beauty in the present. Lesson 0.3. There are undefined number of ways to have a comfortable relationship with beauty in the future.
Trace explores the reconstructive aspects of human memory. Inspired by new research in the field of computational neuroscience, I focus on capturing the breaking points of our memory systems, our tendencies to warp, blend, or entirely forget fragments of the past. Memory, no longer portrayed as static truths, but as a process of telling and retelling, constantly in flux. In highlighting the fallibility of memory, Traces also points to what makes our understanding of the past human, rather than discounting the effects of memory errors, from the way emotions like nostalgia or trauma tint the act of reconstruction. This series of photographs retains these imperfections.
When we allow our fears to run free and take hold of our imagination, even a bowl of spaghetti can turn into a monster. Repudium is a short film that combines live action and animation and invites viewers to confront their own fears, even if they're as simple as a bowl of spaghetti.